Greetings, everybody. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Man Mouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Pundit. Let me go over the crew really quickly. We're going to go over some business. All right. Want to welcome back the pundit himself, Jacob Christner.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? We're the final to the end, final to the holidays over.
You know it. Okay, George Eichhorn.
Hi, everyone. Good to be here tonight. Glad to be on.
Yeah, and a couple of us are going to have double headers unless Denzel wants to join. We can make it a fivesome. I don't care later on. What's the difference? The last show of the year.
That anyway. Sounds really, really kinky.
What's that, Jacob?
We don't want that. We don't want that here. No.
What is it? We don't want. Did I miss something?
No, I said no. You said fivesome.
Oh, that one really got past me.
Yeah.
Listen, I've been speaking much of the day, but when I talk about fivesome, I meant 5 people. But I know
we're going
to do it. All right. Well, Denzel, you have an open invite, and you have until 9 o'clock to decide. If you don't, no big deal. Hakuna Matata. Happy holidays. Denzel's a sniper. Welcome back.
Hey, how you doing? I'll rest on it for about an hour. But before we get started, I just want to send a shout out to the Tennessee Titans organization. Whenever you wear a city's old jerseys against them to stick it to them, and then that team sticks it to you in your own building.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. What a great start. All right. Well, all right. Let me go over some business here. First of all, Pundit being broadcast around the world. The audio version of Pundit can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcast. Also, please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Participate in the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to the South Florida Tribune at gmail.com. You want to advertise cost efficiently? No problem. Give me a call. 30954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, and eventually Instagram. We're going to work on that during our holiday break to try to get that up. So when we do this again in January, well, actually, now that I'm mentioning it, our next show will be on Thursday, January 4th. We're taking next week off because of the holiday break. So our website, www. South Florida Tribune.com. Our Twitter /X is at Tribune South. Candy Ebling is behind the scenes, and she is also producing the show. My new book, pretty much old school, new school media. It's called Lessons from the Microphone, Tuning into the Enduring Wisdom of Visionary Leaders. And I also want to make another announcement that will be a regular announcement, and that's at the Sports Exchange and Pundit at the end of January will also be on NGBN, and will launch on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and mobile devices. It will be in 85% of the homes in the U.S. and Canada, and 4.1 billion mobile devices. Now, I will say this: when I was at a chamber networking NGBN.
You are the ultimate dude. You are the ultimate hype guy.
Look at this guy. All right. NGBN TV. But when I talked about this at a chamber, a lot of eyeballs went out there and perked up with those numbers. So there you have it. NGBN TV is where we're going to be, and we'll be featured on those various platforms. More announcements to come. All right, Denzel. As usual, he's always going to be making sure that if I miss a thing or two here and there, he's always got my back. So with that said, not only does he have my back, I have his front, because I'm turning over the microphone over to Denzel Snipes, and we have a show to go, and we have 3 topics that you can go ahead and address. Take over.
All right. Before we get started, in addition, follow Sideline Sports on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter as well. Click the like and subscribe button, and also the notification bell for all updates and videos. I actually was in the middle of writing on that same marker board, Uncle George's Lions are going to win the division this weekend, but we got a show to do, so, we'll go ahead and get it started. But speaking of, football here, our first topic actually raised the question, are certain QBs really that bad, or do coaches kill their confidence? So in launching on this one right here, and going back to the game that I referenced during my intro, the quarterback of the Houston Texans was Case Keenum. It's actually his third round here in Houston. You know who Case Keenum was under at one point? Jeff Fisher. You know who else was under Jeff Fisher? Nick Foles. Ever since McNair, he has been known to ruin quarterbacks. So, to answer this question, part one, I say yes, because Nick Foles actually almost retired and then decided against it, joined the Eagles, won the Super Bowl. You know how that story goes, right? Okay. But also, on the other end of the spectrum, I really do think some quarterbacks are that bad. They are really that bad, you know? I mean, just from the way Jeff Fisher, he might have overstayed his welcome in Tennessee. Some people will say that team ran because of McNair. But you got some quarterbacks that are just horrible. Do I need to mention the jamarusrussells? Do I need to mention the heathschulers and the ryanleafs of the world? You know what I mean? As a good or even great coach, every now and again you come across just bad quarterbacks. Look at right now. Look at Bill Belichick and Mac Jones. If Mac Jones was even half as good as people anticipated he would be, they wouldn't be talking about his rumored exit right now, Belichick's rumored exit, which pretty much is all but confirmed last I checked reports,
Mm-hmm.
So I'm on the fence with this one. I think it's a case-by-case basis, but I want to start off with George and get your thoughts about this. Do you think certain quarterbacks are really that bad, or do coaches really kill their confidence?
That's a hot topic, I'll tell you guys. It really is. I think the large amount of coaches are okay, but there's always going to be some bad apples in the bunch, as the saying goes. I looked at a little bit of research on this, and there's obviously things that go back to even when these kids are in high school. Okay, these quarterbacks are under a lot of pressure, and from high school to college, and then obviously to the NFL. Coaches are relentless. Some of them are obnoxious, and many of them are foul-mouthed. We all get it. We all hear that. We all know that. But there's something about a quarterback who is going to be one of the key figures in leading your franchise. I'm not suggesting the kid gloves are being used or should be used, but I am suggesting that there has to be a good examination of oneself, meaning coach, that what is he doing and what effect will this have on our star or wannabe star quarterback?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like bullying, but it's similar in the fact that on the practice field and sometimes in the locker room, but a lot of this yelling and screaming and stuff, can go in one ear and out the other for some of the players. But yeah, I have to say, I can't say specifically, but I mean, here locally, as Scott knows, we've had a lot of quarterbacks that have gone through the Detroit Lions system and a lot of unsuccessful ones. Joey Harrington was a good guy. He was not he was not as bad as people like to say he is. We had Gary Danielson, we had Eric Hipple, and every one of them had their things that were good and things that were bad. But I think that the coaching staff. And another thing is that the coaching staff, don't forget, if you have a lot of rotation, you have a lot of in and out, you fire your offensive coordinator, you get rid of your quarterbacks coach. And this same thing is a pattern with some teams, and that crap's got to stop. And I say that because it's going to have a bad effect, not only on the quarterback, but on his teammates and the offensive line and all of that. So I know I'm hitting on a couple of different areas here, but my guess is that there are many that we don't know of, quarterbacks not working properly, not, performing properly, let's say, because of these coaches on their backs.
Yeah, it's totally fair to say, because especially when you hit that last stretch of your commentary, the name that came to mind was Alex Smith. He was a first rounder in 2005, and then in the years since, he was promised to be a bust. But really think about it for a second, because how many head coaches and offensive coordinators did he go through before Harbaugh came along, before Greg Roman came out, and he finally started getting good and finally started performing? Because it wasn't until about the last 5-6 years of his career. So, but I want to swing it over to Scott and then get your thoughts about this. Do you think QBs are really that bad, or do is it coaches that kill their confidence? You know, in all fairness, seeing as things kind of begin and end with the coach, you know, but do you also lean it toward like, well, the quarterback themselves and their effort or lack of talent, or what's going on?
Well, number one, I'm going to piggyback off George for a moment. I never viewed Joey Harrington as a bad pick. You cannot have that much turnover in key spots. You just can't do it. Thankfully, the Lions did not wreck Matthew Stafford. He was that good. Okay. So you didn't wreck him. Now, Denzel, I'm going to piggyback off you too. A lot of times case by case basis, but don't tell me that Tim Boyle was a case by case basis. He did bad, period. Okay. You know, and let's go back probably a little bit before you guys were born. Jimplunkett, when he started out with the New England Patriots. Well, you know what? Didn't live up to expectations in Foxborough, right? But how did it work out when he got to Oakland? Well, Super Bowl rings later.
Steve Young also.
Yeah, well, all right, but hold on, Jacob. I want to just stay on point here with Plunkett. Okay, Plunkett was a guy that got a fresh start, and that's the thing. Some guys need a fresh start, and in the case of Bill Belichick with Mac Jones, that's simply Belichick's fault. You really think that was smart to put Matt Patricia and Joe Judge as coach? That was stupid. And Candy Eveling just pointed out here, Trevor Lawrence under Urbanmeyer. Excellent example. Oh,
yes.
And the thing is, we lived it. I mean, we were up there covering a few games, and the morale there was just awfully bad. So I would say a lot of times, much of it is attributed to coaching, because remember, you have to develop these guys. These guys have played at 11, 12 games or so in college, and now they're expected to play at least 16, 17 a jam it now, and playoffs that should get in. So they're playing more. These guys need to be developed. They really do. So I guess you say case by case, and I do agree with you to a large extent, but I would say if I had to make a judgment either way, I think more coaches go ahead and wreck quarterbacks. I really, really do.
Very fair to say. Very, very fair to say. And then lastly, want to round this out with Jacob and get your thoughts about this, because, and we know that you've had your criticisms and critiques about Justin Fields, you know, Agent Bajent, you know, we sat there and text back and forth about him, you know.
Agent Bajent 007, yeah.
007, yeah, or even Trubisky, you know what I mean? But you know what? It's funny because you mentioned Trubisky, and he's under Tomlin now. He's not looking that good, but he looked better under Nagy, and Nagy was horrible.
Well,
so how does that work out?
He saved Nagy for one thing. He didn't get that was the thing. He had to save Nagy. Nagy was miserable, but he looks horrible now. A lot of that, but I'm going to go use this as an example here. Absolutely positively. I'm going to use like 3 quarterbacks. Trubisky's one of them. Look at that preseason game. Remember when Aaron Rodgers was during the preseason doing the coaching for Zach Wilson?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He does that thing. So has him throw that out pattern, and he's on the run, throws it sidearm 53 yards. Throws it sidearm 53 yards right as a bean. It was a bean, absolute bean, perfect shot right there, done. Remember that's an NFL quarterback, regardless of what anybody wants to say. So he has that ability. The Trubisky, we bring this up because what was it say Detroit? The whole thing when it was in 2020 when the last time the Bears won a game against them, and you know, other than this year, the last time that they did that, and it was when they went into Detroit, they came back from 16 down with 3 minutes left. It was 23-7, and they won the game. That was a Trubisky deal.
Yep.
And then Justin Fields, 4th and 13 this year, perfect seed to DJ Moore. Perfect seed. And I mean, that is the gutsy throw because it was at like the 47-yard line.
Yeah.
On a 4th and it's like this is during a thing. To the person seed. So ask this. These are all NFL quarterbacks, and even the worst of the worst that go to the second or the third, the second seed or goes to the practice squad are still the top of the top of athletes. So you have to ask this. If they have everyone that I mentioned, and we can name many more, we can name Mac Jones. I saw a thing, they showed Mac Jones this year in England. When he was in England this year against, it was against Indianapolis. It's like he was against Indianapolis. He throws an absolute. I mean, it's like he caught the audible. He caught their audible and catches the thing for it was on a 4th and 5, caught an audible and went 35 yards. He himself, who's not a great quarterback, but that's the Mac Jones in himself. And you want to know what he did later in the game? Way underthrew a touchdown pass when intercepted.
And got picked.
Got picked.
Yeah.
This is saying, though, what if that guy can do that? If Trubisky could do what he did, if Zach Wilson can throw that throw, Fields 4th and 13 when he has 100, when his average for this year is like 116 yards a game, 130 yards a game or something, some crazy number. If he, I mean, he's had a couple of good games. If those numbers are right there, but he can throw that throw, that's why I said I believe the coaches do murder them, because I think the coaches try to overcoach everything.
Yeah.
It's like, how about let the players decide some? Have a little debate and talk with them over the thing, but let them decide. I can tell you this. You didn't coach Peyton Manning past about year 3.
Yeah.
You did not. But Brady, same. I promise you, they were left alone.
Well, we're talking about plays also before you continue, where coaching actually, did some good. Well, look at the Iron Bowl. It was 4th in a continent, and Milroe puts it in the only spot his receiver can catch it, in a corner of the end zone.
And think about Milroe for a second. He had a miserable first half of the year. Miserable. Only reason he did not get a Heisman. Only reason, because the second half he could have gotten it. And those are the things I'm just bringing. I just wanted to say that before. I know we go on to the next one, but I just wanted to bring that. That's where the problem lies, is coaches can ruin you because they overcoach everything.
Yeah. This is the reason why they say Bill Belichick himself has said, before we move on, players win ball games, coaches lose them. He's 100% correct.
Yeah.
What's going on, Ralph? How you doing? Shout out to Ralph in the comments.
Hey,
Ralph, how you doing?
Denzel, I got one little comment here, and I got to take this quote because this is a legitimate quote. This goes back to what I told you about that 16-year-old high school quarterback. And this is what he said. But when coach gets in my face, calls me out, embarrasses me in front of the team, and has a problem with me every day, it makes me question, why do I still play? I used to play to learn, compete, be with friends, and have fun. Now I can't wait for the season to be over. Now, isn't that sad? I'm just talking about a 16-year-old quarterback,
right,
who's getting heck, whatever you want to say, from his coach. And that's a shame, because some coaches out there, and like I said, there's all different kinds. We all know that. But I wanted to share that with you from a young man that is having a tough time with his high school coach.
Yeah, glad you did, George. That was good.
And
Thanks,
trust
John.
me, I know it must be hard on him because he's 16, but he also has to realize an NFL film room is going to be much, much, much worse. Belichick called Brady out on every interception, every time in the film room, in front of the team. Won 6 Super Bowls in New England.
And that's the truth, but to say this part, one thing about, I'm going to put this out on the players to do this. Ignore the fans. You're not ignoring the fans, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening. Ignore them, because the fans want to bench you every week. It's one thing if you're dealing with your coaches, that's a tough deal. Hello, Christopher. How you doing? No, it's one thing if you want to do that. Quit listening to fans. They want to bench you every week. They don't know anything. They don't know. So quit listening to them, because they are really hurting your psyche, because you brought up Trubisky being horrible in Pittsburgh. He's miserable. But it's like when you go straight there and someone wanted Pickett who wasn't ready to begin with, and then he sits, and then you bring it back and he's not anywhere near what he was in Chicago, which wasn't a star, but just a settled quarterback that made plays. He's not even that anymore. Yeah. And it's like fans can do that if you let them. Ignore them. Do you?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, we do have to move on to our next topic, and that is the story of Peter Park, the 17-year-old who passed the bar exam, and get this, he's now a practicing attorney, 17 years old, can't get his own apartment yet, can't even nowhere near drinking legally yet, and he's certified to defend your case. or prosecuted, whichever one. But Peter Park became the youngest to pass the bar exam. In 2019, he simultaneously enrolled in high school and a 4-year Juris Doctorate program at Northwestern California University School of Law. He became a law clerk with the Tulare County District Attorney Office in August, and he was sworn in on December the 5th. So I want to start off with Jacob on this one. Your thoughts on this one, man? Is these lawyers just getting younger and younger and younger and younger?
Well, here's the thing. This is our Aaron. We're going to bring this because all four of us get this reference. Doogie Howser.
Yeah.
This is our era's Doogie.
But that's the thing. That was television.
I know. But television can be based off of real life. It's art being based off real life.
Yeah.
And it's like this is a real life, but it's like this is that era of that. And it's like, but take a look at this kid for a second. Passes the bar. You want to know? Remember, they show at the beginning of those little clips and everything from Doogie. He's a 10-year-old that graduated in 6 weeks, all that kind of stuff like that. I guarantee this kid did too, for real. It's like these are the type of kids that are like they are using an abacus and not a phone.
Mm-hmm.
This is the thing about American kids that have to understand for 1 second. The people in China creating TikTok, okay? They're the ones that create TikTok. They're putting like symphonies and music on their kids' TikToks. They're putting symphonies and they're putting arts and all that stuff and music, soft music inside of them. They are putting the math on there, academics on there. You don't know what they're putting on ours? Fights.
Yeah.
They're putting fights and they're putting stupid things and misinformation. They're doing it for a reason. It's the other thing I talk about with ignoring. This kid, he's had the academics. He had the abacus. I promise he knows what an abacus is. Promise you he does. Even if it's so old school, even if it's so 1800s. I promise he does because his parents would make sure of it.
Yeah.
I promise he probably I promise he reads more the hardcover books than the phone. Probably he'd have his phone to be able to get in thing, but I promise you he has the hardcover books. I guarantee he read a lot of those law books right off the thing from books and not just online.
True.
And it's like he would have both worlds. He is now a dangerous mind because he has both worlds, the older world of the book and the newer world of technology.
Yeah.
And that's what we have. And
Yeah.
I love hearing, this is the thing, I love hearing these stories of this kid like this. I do. Because, like I said, we all have to dream. And everybody deserves the American dream. And this is where the American dream is. Education. Education and believing and all that kind of stuff. And it's for, get this, everybody, everyone.
Yeah.
Everyone. White, black, Chinese, man, woman, kid, you go. It's for everyone. This kid just proved it.
Yeah, he absolutely did. And something about, and you're right, because he has the best of both worlds. He's got the old school and the new school, and he's ushering in a new era of, because who's going to be next to be 18 or 19 and, and become a lawyer and everything. And it's really great because, nowadays with the internet, we are seeing more people come up with and be successful in how do I put this, professions or jobs where normally you would need a college degree.
Well, you remember what we talked about on TikTok. You remember what we talked about on TikTok? We talked about this one night when there was a TikTok lawyer.
Yeah.
We talked about the TikTok lawyer that he was helping people win their cases by about 5-10 minute clicks. Yeah. And it's like, that's a heck of an idea considering people can't just read through the book. That's the technology part. But this guy's read through the other books. That guy too. And these are the things that we need to bring up. Is when I bring up the word emotional nitwit, I'll explain that real quickly. When I say emotional nitwit, I say it a lot. It is the fact that you are normally a smart individual because you're an adult that got through life. You're normally a smart individual. You have a good job. You probably make 6 figures. You do all that. But in the moment of emotion and stupidity, you're not thinking. And it's like, and I'm not saying by and large and in the world you're an idiot. You're not. Because you've had to raise kids, you've had to get a good job, you had to graduate college. But emotional nitwit means you're an nitwit with your emotions. And someone like this kid and someone like that one that came up with the TikTok for that kind of stuff, they're not emotional nitwits.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly thinking every single day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, and to your point with the emotional nitwit, even just acting on his emotions, he can make a life-altering decision that can end up very bad for him. As a former correctional officer, I watched 4,000 of them. So,
oh no, think about this: the road rage. Road rage is the ultimate emotional nitwit.
Yeah, absolutely. But what I was saying about this kid before I pass it on to George here, what I was saying about this kid is, nowadays, because of the internet and the TikToks and all the other kind of stuff, people are able to kind of, start up professions to where back in the day you needed a college degree for it.
Mm-hmm.
Something like a lawyer, that will never go away. You must go to school. You're not going to learn everything on that. You must go to school. You must pass bar exams. You must pass every other exam. That will never go away. And it was really great seeing him take the best of the old school and the new school, put it together and become, the youngest lawyer. But I want to pass it on to George. And it's nothing that we've ever seen before. So I just want to get your thoughts about this.
Well, yeah, he's an exceptional young man. No question about that. He graduated from high school, it says, in early 2021. And took the California high school proficiency exam, and just it's a great story. He is obviously one of California's youngest practicing attorneys, but I'm gonna let him do the talking now. Here's what he said: "It was not easy, but it was worth it. It required discipline and strategy to pass the bar, and I made it in the end. I'm extremely blessed to have discovered this path. And my hope is that more people will realize that alternative paths exist to becoming an attorney. I aspire to become a prosecutor because I am driven by a moral obligation to uphold liberty, equality, and justice in our society. And I admire how prosecutors keep our community safe." So he's got his head right square on his shoulders. He's a brilliant young man. He's done a terrific job. And California is lucky to have somebody like that. But yeah, every once in a while, we'll hear a story like this one where some young person has, progressed to such a level intellectually and obviously school-wise to be put ahead of his class and to graduate earlier than he normally would. But this doesn't surprise me because I know there's other stories out there. But hats off to this young man. You did a great job, and I hope you have a wonderful career. And I know you will because you've got your head square on your shoulders the right way.
Yeah, absolutely. Typically whenever you see somebody who's like in their teen years and they turn pro, it's usually in sports. You look at the Serena sisters; they turn pro at age 14.
Yeah.
But
did you say the Serena sisters?
No, yeah, the Williams sisters. Sorry. So it was Serena and the other one. Yeah, but
Venus,
the Williams sisters. Yeah, Serena and Venus. But yeah, but they're not the first. Typically in that sport, like you turn pro really early. But here you have a non-sport, and your typical 17-year-old. They're like either a junior or like I was a junior in my when I was 17, or they might be a senior and they're preparing for prom, at some point. But this is a kid who, he just got his driver's license last year and now he can defend or prosecute cases. It's crazy. But I want to switch it over to Scott and get your thoughts about this.
Well, number one, I think all you guys did a pretty good job helping me save my voice for the sports exchange later. Thank you very much. Okay. Because you covered it really well. When you think about the fact that George talked about a kid dealing with his coach, which is a bad story, I'm glad that we're able to talk about this in a very good way. You would like to see more feel-good stories during the year instead of hearing about them now. But this one does constitute as an unbelievable feel-good story, and I'm glad we have it on our last show of the year. With that said, okay, I would trust him all day long. If a 17-year-old kid can whiz through that when he had to take to get to this point, no problem. And yes, I'm really curious, okay, that, he can't get an apartment. So if you're making a lot of dough, bro, here's what I would do. I don't think nobody's going to stop you from getting a van or a little mini RV, and then you can do whatever you want. So, car dealers will take anything that they can get, but more power to them. And yes, it's a great story.
Yeah.
Or move in with Tommy DeVito's family.
Oh, yeah, right. Okay.
And you know what?
Jacob, are you trying to learn something about Segway? Because that's a good way to do it. And I should point out one other thing, too, about the quarterback thing. Remember one thing about Bill Belichick. He's under 500 without Tom Brady, okay? So let's not lose sight of that.
Yeah.
But going back to this, I was thinking about it. See, again, my voice doesn't get taxed on Pundit's Pundit only when it needs to be.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And obviously, it's I'll let the kid get a van and put a bed in there. It'll be all right. No, but mom and dad be more than happy to put him up for another year.
He'll be fine. He'll save up a lot of money. I mean, he's gonna spend his time, like in the books and sharpening his craft. But of course, and what my advice to him would be, and I mean, I've only taken one law class in my life, but the experience is the best teacher. The best teacher in life. Yeah, let them take on those cases and actually go through them. You win some, you lose some, but get that experience up. That's how, some of the most revered lawyers in, American history or just across the globe, that's how they get to where they're going, is by actually getting in the courtroom and fighting those battles. But I think having done what he's done at the age of 17, I think he has a real good shot. But since Jacob likes to eat at Segway, we're gonna go ahead and go.
I like to write a segue too.
Well, maybe for you to write an article first before you write a segue. So get with it, Christopher.
Yeah, we're gonna go on to our third topic, and that is Tommy DeVito's appearance. So he was forced to actually cancel the appearance. So over at a local pizzeria, they signed up for, and if I remember correctly, it was 200. It was 2 hours, signed 250 autographs. It was $10,000. Okay, that was the original deal that agent his agent Sean Stellato actually signed for. The pizzeria reported that he actually upping the fee to $20,000 after the Monday Night Football win against Green Bay. The pizzeria said, "Hey, that was too much, and especially just kind of springing it on us like this." So the agent was forced to cancel, but DeVito still made good on his promise, and he showed up for free. So this actually, and I'm going to start off with George on this one, because we know, the old school phrase, you all have heard it, strike while the iron's hot, right? And I get cashing in on your hot commodity. But is this an example? And can other agents just take it too far sometimes?
Well, definitely. I'm sure that there are many other instances. This one really caught everybody's eye. Obviously, the New York Giants young quarterback. I think that I sense a little bit of extra greed in doing something like that. If you be a man of your word, if you say you're going to be available for $10,000, and all of a sudden you change it to $20,000, and he has another good game or whatever. But no, I think that there comes a time where you just say, okay, wait a minute now. We agreed to something. Let's go ahead and do it. So yeah, I'm talking about greedy agents. Sure, there are a lot of them out there. The pizzeria owner, I mean, he's trying to run a business, so obviously he's saying to himself, wait a minute, I got to pay this guy double. I can't sell enough pizzas that night or whatever, get enough business to be able to handle the additional $10,000 fee. So, it is interesting. He's an overnight sensation. And this DeVito lawyer guy, agent guy, he's running around with his fancy clothes, appearing on sidelines and talking to fans and making a big Hollywood splash, himself. So obviously DeVito has a big ego, but all that being said, no, I think, again, you should be a man of your word. You should stick with what you said, and, and just go ahead and do it. I mean, the fact is that, if this kid is good, he'll make much, much more down the road. We all know that. If he continues, we don't know if he will be as good as some of the quarterbacks in the NFL. We don't know that, but at least they're trying. And they're trying to obviously sell his image. But yeah, you talk about egg on your face. I think this is a little tomato sauce on the face.
Yeah, absolutely on that one. I know he's a hot commodity right now, and good thing he seemingly comes from humble upbringings and everything. He went on ahead and did the appearance and all. And I also get that the agent gets a cut too, so I understand that he's looking out for his own pocket, and that's fine. Every agent should, but you're not Rich Paul, bro. Not
Right.
not in the least. I don't know how many years he has as an agent. I just know he's not that guy, Rich Paul. Okay, Rich Paul might be able to get away with this, but not this one. But this is just it. That was the perception that came to me. Is wow, like he's driving the price up and everything, and it ended up being a negative. Now, luckily, Tommy showed up and was like, hey, don't worry about it. He probably showed up, took some pics, got some autographs. Everything is cool, but I want to swing this to Scott. Same question for you, and it doesn't even have to be an agent. I mean, it can be somebody's family member or whatnot. We all remember Jackson Holmes' escapades, if you want to call them that, whatever. But can an agent take it too far? Especially in a case like this?
No doubt about it, exclamation point, period. Now, if I'm Tommy DeVito, okay, I focus on making the New York Giants next year and put up good numbers here to prove that he's a potential franchise quarterback. Yes, this has been a good storyline only because Daniel Jones got hurt and he's taking advantage of an opportunity in front of him to maybe make an impression on him. Once upon a time, when Drew Bledsoe got hurt, what happened? Tom Brady took over, right? And we all know how that turned out. So there's no doubt about it. Tommy DeVito needs to focus on his play. Now, am I happy that he went in the next day and did it free? Yeah, that's fine. That's okay. He tried to go out there and do the right thing. But this agent's a joke. I don't care about his clothing and attire or any of that stuff. That doesn't mean nothing to me. But in the NFL, the money comes later, and you're putting yourself on game film. And yes, it just so happens that you're playing in your hometown. But seriously, DeVito, focus on making the club and finishing out the year strong. Because there's an old saying that goes from peak to pits. Although you haven't gone from rags to riches. I figure since Icor came up with a rare one-liner, egg on your face to pizza sauce on your face, I can top him with a couple too, although I'm impressed that George came up with that one because I'm not used to him coming up with one-liners with it. Just kidding, George. But with all due respect, this guy's got to focus on playing and letting the Giants know he's worth bringing back next year. NFL is a league about what have you done now. We don't care about what you've done in the past. And when you're new, okay, you have to work that much harder to stay in this league. What do they say? The average career is about 3 years in the NFL.
3-4 years, yep.
Yeah, so you don't have a lot of time for the most part.
Yep.
The agent's a joke, and I hope Tommy DeVito lets his play speak for himself.
No, yeah, no doubt about it. I'll go. I'm sorry.
Stuff irritates the daylights out of me.
No, I totally get it because I mean, you have your Shannon Sharpe once said you in the NFL you constantly have to be updating your resume. There's a reason why NFL stands for not for long. As memorable as Tebow Mania was, it only lasted one season.
Right.
So with that being said, I want to swing it over to Jacob and round this topic off. Give us your thoughts about this.
I'm not going to go after Tommy DeVito because he made up for it. He made up for it by going by himself and with behind the back of that idiot and did it for free. So he's made up his thing. But I'm going to cut a nice little promo on Sean Stellato. The agent's name's Sean Stellato, by the way. I'm going to cut a promo on him. You want to be Guys and Dolls understudy from Wish.com. I am telling you right off the bat on this, not everybody has to be a star. You don't have to make them a star overnight. I know you want to be Rich Paul. You're not. You aren't. You got the Italian. You absolutely positively got the Italian, the Hall of Fame, whatever, and probably were there before that in the first place. Maybe they're going to give you that award. But here's the big thing right now to understand. Watch Rocky. The whole trilogy. The whole 5 or 6, excuse me. Watch it. What does he do? When he gets almost that fight, he stays around the neighborhood no matter what. What does he do when he gets richer? He leaves. What happens after 3 and 4? Loses it all. But he figures out that the neighborhood, he still has to stay with the neighborhood. And then when he finally got some money again after the whole thing, opens a restaurant, stays in the neighborhood. The big thing about Tommy DeVito is he can be Rocky. He can be Rocky in New York right now. Stick with this. You can lose a few things. You can do go to those pizza joints. Don't be around a bunch of hangers-on. Don't be around your agent all the time. Just talk with the construction workers and the sewer guys. Do it all the time. Act like it. Win or lose your games on Sunday and just be around. Don't pretend you're bigger than you are. Right. I love what you did, Tommy. But guess what? No one would believe Tom Brady if he was to go around the sewer guys and the construction guys and whatever, or the garbage guys. They'll believe Tommy DeVito because he lives that neighborhood now.
He's an everyday man.
And then go buy, and then if you do leave your mom's home, buy the one next door.
Why not?
That is a gimmick you can pull to the end of the earth. You can be Rocky of the NFL. If you win or lose, don't be afraid to accept it. Just be around the guys. Drink some beers, do whatever. Just go with it. And let you be you. Maybe you get 10 years with the Giants and you can be Vince Papale.
Yeah.
You can be a longer version of Vince Papale, be the hero, and maybe you might get to a Super Bowl. Who knows?
Yeah. And you know what? Ultimately, you stick around for 10 years, hell, make enough money to take care of your people. Last episode, we mentioned Chase Daniel, right? He made something like $60 million in his career. Was nowhere near a star. Hell, he wasn't even a starter. But $60 million, I think anyone on this panel will take any day to take care of their family.
I'd say so, yes.
Yeah, So with that being said, we're about to switch on over to our pundit's point. Now I'm going to swing it on over to the professor, the dean of South Florida Tribune University, Scott Wogarod. Take it away. Teach us something.
Thank you very much, Denzel Snipes. Well done. So want to also put a shout out to the people that are in the chat room. Much appreciated. So as we go ahead and talk about Pundit's Point, I'm going to have Jacob Christner lead off.
Okay. Do you have your whiteboard with you still, buddy?
I do.
You do. Now do this for me. Number 1, write down Cam Newton, just the name. Now I'm going to explain this. Cam Newton admitted in an interview he bought a minority share of, now write this down again, $250,000 in 2016 for the UFC. Okay? $250,000. He did that. Now, he just said they sold out and he got his. Okay? They just said this. If you have $250,000. Here's the thing. You want to know what the UFC sold for in April of 2023? Thank you. $250,000. You don't want to know what it sold for in 2023? Write this down. $4.025 billion. So they called him one day and they said to him, "Oh, they're going to sell, so we're going to cash out." In 7 years, do you want to know what money he made? Yes. You want to know what money Cam made in 7 years from that? $1 million and change. From that initial investment, $1 million. The reason I'm asking you to put that down, do the math. Cam, $1 million. $4.2025 billion. And he put the $250,000 in, and then they asked him to cash out. It's time for him to start understanding some business. These people get screwed. People get screwed in business all the time. Guess what? For one thing, they asked him to cash out. He should have said no. But even with that thing, how do you make barely $1 million on a $250,000 investment of a thing that's $1 billion?
Yeah.
Right.
That's the point I'm saying. Let's start getting educated, everyone, about money so we can stop getting this screw job. And this is why I say, and this is part of my pundit point tonight, this is why I say every single school, the rich and the poor, learn money education. Every single one of them. And Cam's no idiot. But it's like he was bragging about making $1 million, and you saw that on that whiteboard. And I want you to keep that there. $4.025 billion. And he says $1 million he made from a $250,000 investment that's barely a percent. Where's the issue here? We've got to start educating everybody on money and the business end of this world. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
That's
absolutely.
mine.
Well done, Jacob. All right, George.
That's very well done. Mine is going to be a lot less serious nature, but a little bit of fun last night. I don't know if you heard, but they had the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl last night. UTSA 35, Marshall 17. And what was so unique about that game were the quarterbacks. We got Owen McCown, Josh's son.
McCown's
He's
son.
a sophomore. And he started for the USTA running. What is it called? Running Roadrunners. Thank you.
Roadrunners.
UTSA?
Roadrunners.
Yeah.
University of Texas, San Antonio.
Yep. He was 22 out of 31. And you talk about a chip off the old block here. We're talking about two quarterbacks that made their name in the NFL. Maybe not as popular as or as successful as they wanted, but Owen McCown and then Cole Pennington was on the other side of the field for Marshall. And Cole, he is born in Kentucky, and Cole Pennington, he wasn't as successful last night. He was 15 out of 33. A little bit less successful than his opponent. No touchdowns, no interceptions, long as 52. Rating, though, 111. So Cole Pennington, there's Chad Pennington has got to be, both these dads got to be so proud of these young men. They're both freshmen starting for their team in that bowl game last night, the Frisco Bowl. And what a successful, I think, debut, if you will, on national television, ESPN, of course. That was the only bowl game played yesterday. And they're just a great, hardworking guys. And a hats off to them. We talked earlier about sad situations for some of the quarterbacks, but I just wanted to share this because it's more a success story that needs to be shared. Both these guys, obviously, in their father's footsteps as QB. That's my point.
Well, I read it, and I'm so glad you brought that on tonight. I really did. I didn't know if I was going to bring it on as a topic at a future date, but you know what? You just saved me a little work for a future show, and I'm glad you brought it on tonight, George. Once again, well done. All right, Denzel, flip over.
And before I go on to mine, I got one more for you there, George, that's currently in bowl season. Speaking of coming from NFL families and being quarterbacks, here's one from an illustrious family that's currently in the college football playoffs for the University of Texas, Arch Manning, who had an appearance in a game against Texas Tech. And you know what? We're going to stick to the quarterback thing here because that's my point. And I just wanted to send a shout out to Drew Lock from the Seattle Seahawks, who led a masterful game-winning drive on Monday Night Football against the Philadelphia Eagles. And in doing so, he added another chapter into what has been known as the year of the backup quarterback. Because it's not just him. It's been, you just saw casekeenum last Sunday, right? Get a win on the road to Tennessee. It's been Jake Browning, who's currently hot right now. Josh Dobbs had a story earlier this year. Hell, even Gardner Minshew could win the division. It's been the year of the backup quarterbacks. But the thing that I wanted to drive home, and Drew Lock was emotional after that win. It was his moment, and he deserved it. But the thing that I want to drive home real quick is I want fans to take a look at this season and not to get so down about, well, if our starter goes down, the season's over, we're going to suck. Because some of these backups are keeping their teams in the playoff race. You saw what Nick Foles did back in 2017. And they had a then MVP frontrunner in Carson Wentz go down. You saw what he did. Hell, all of us on this panel saw what Jeff Hostetler did in 1991.
Yeah.
If they have a solid enough team around them, they can still win it, even in the era of the superstar quarterback. Nick Foles will forever be known for his playoff run, not for being a starter. Well, there was that season he went 27 touchdowns to 2 picks. And there was that season, I think the same season he threw 7 touchdowns in one game, But he's never known as a renowned starter, but he created his own legacy that postseason in 2017. So to everybody out there, just know, yes, it is a quarterback-driven league, but on the offense, there are 10 other positions, and they complement each other.
A lot of them people, by the way, they're getting all over that, though, and they're complaining about it. In their own psyche, they're just worried about their fantasy team.
Okay.
I mean, it's like they get angry about they get angry if Casekeenum wins ball games because he had like 11 points the other night. It's like, who cares? They won the ball game. That's all should matter. But we have too many emotional nitwits about Madden and fantasy.
All right. Well, let me add a little something to yours, and I have mine as we get ready to wrap this thing up. By the way, Sports Exchange will be on immediately after Pundit's Pundit. Let's not forget Joe Flacco getting $75,000 a win. And you know what? You talk about Deshaun Watson going down, and then the Browns being shrewd enough to sign Joe Flacco. There you go. There's another wrinkle into the backup quarterback situation. Now, this is a topic that will be discussed later on in Sports Exchange, but I'm going to use it as my pundit's point here. The Jets. Aaron Rodgers has been activated from the injured reserve, not expected to return this season. Let me tell you something. That is outright stupid. You mean to tell me you're going to activate Rodgers? I don't understand the logic or mindset behind it, and yet you can use that spot for another player that can contribute. I don't get it. I didn't take a dumb pill overnight, but maybe if you're in the New York Jets, they probably have a prescription called dumb pills, and they reside, as the same tenant with the New York Giants in East Meadowlands, New Jersey. So, I understand that they've gone out there and have gone 13 years without getting into the playoffs. And moves like that aren't going to help you get any closer. It's all about adding players, and you have to play the games all the way until they're finished, not bring on a guy. In retrospect, you have a 52-man roster instead of 53. Talk about not understanding the logic. I don't understand this one. All right. Now, let me go ahead and mention, all right, well, I got Candy out, and that's why quarterbacks go there to not succeed. Very good. Thanks, Candy. Mm-hmm. All right, so let me go, as we wrap this thing up, this show, the Sports Exchange, I just want to let everybody know one more time, the Sports Exchange is being broadcast around the world. The audio version of the Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, wherever you get your podcasts. Please hit the red subscribe button on YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for more subscribers. Please also comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Contribute in the chat room. That's one way to do it. Or send your topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. If you want to advertise cost efficiently, call me at 954-304-4941. We broadcast live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, and eventually Instagram. Our website's www.southfloridatribune.com. Twitter/X is at Tribune South. Candy Emily's behind the scenes in the chat room producing, and wherever she goes. She also appears on 3 Chicks in a Pod and Chicks in Salsa as well. So my book is out, Lessons from the Microphone, basically old school media versus new school media, and you can go out there and purchase it on Amazon and Kindle. Tuning into the enduring wisdom of visionary leaders. Another note worthy of mentioning, because I know it'll happen soon enough, and that's this, Sports Exchange and Pundit will be airing at the end of January on Roku TV, and I want to repeat the network again so you can write it down. NGBN TV will launch on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, and mobile devices. It will be heard in 85% of the homes in the U.S. and Canada, and 4.1 billion mobile devices. Tell me, folks, this is unbelievable. So I just want to let everybody know that we're growing, and we hope that you can follow us along the ways. With that said, I'll let Jacob Christopher let everybody know how they can get a hold of you.
5 days a week on, sometimes 6, depending on which, on South Florida Tribune and Sideline Sports. Will be on NGBN soon. Roku TV, Apple, and Amazon, and yes, at the end on that. And then by the way, just got a call back for a movie. Got a call back for a movie. I'm going to be doing it on Friday. Doing it on Friday for a final read. Possibility of getting the gig. Called 10 Toes Down, by the way.
All right, George Eichhorn, you're next.
All right. Yeah, you can read me at the South Florida Tribune's Motor City Tribune page. And I'm a writer there, and obviously helping out behind the scenes and getting the stories here from Michigan and Detroit published. And you can also find a link there for my book. I wrote a book on Detroit sports broadcasters, Michigan and Detroit, and there's a link to purchase up the book. And you can reach me too at gicorn@yahoo.com or SanGSports99 on Twitter or X, whatever they call that thing. And find me on a number of programs here, obviously with Scott and you great guys here on Pundit's Pundit, the Sports Exchange, and Inside the Pigskin. We have a lot of fun, and I wanted to take this opportunity too to wish everybody blessed holidays, Merry Christmas, and of course Happy New Year too. Enjoy
Merry
all that.
Christmas to you.
Thank you.
That's uniform for all of us. Happy holidays.
Yes.
In a prosperous new year. So, with that said, this concludes this edition of Pundit's Pundit. So, on behalf
Denzel, what did you ask you? What are you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all good. Let's see here. My YouTube channel, Denzel Snipes 13. My Twitch, Denzel Sniper 13. Gauntlet this Friday. Picked off earlier tonight, airing every Wednesday. Pundit's Pundit, of course, Thursdays. And Top Rope Talk Mondays. And hope everybody has a happy holiday. I'll be here having some eggnog, watching football, and hoping Scotty Claus up there drops a present or two.
Well, thanks for that was an inadvertent omission. Denzel, we're glad you got your stuff up there, and Candy, you've been unbelievable all night. Then again, you're great anyway, so what's the difference? So with that said, now that everybody has spoken for themselves, this concludes this edition of Pundit's Pundit. On behalf of Jacob Christner, George Eichhorn, and Denzel Sniper 13 on Twitch, as he kindly puts it out there, my name is Scott Morgan, off the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of Pundit's Pundit. Sports Exchange is next. Thank you very much. Happy holidays and a prosperous new year again.
Merry Christmas to all, and all a good night.
And we will see you on January the 4th on Thursday.
Yes.
Good night, all.
Be safe for New Year's.
Happy holidays.
Don't get dead. Don't get arrested.
And happy birthday, Mike.